All right, so guys, we've got some big stuff to get to here on this Wednesday morning. We've got more renderings trickling in from that Orlando proposal. I want to get to that. I want to break it all down. But first, we do have big news on the Las Vegas situation with the Athletics. I didn't do a video on this, but the A's were running into some problems when it came to securing a deal for the land that they were expected to buy. They've pivoted, and now they have a new site. It says the A's throw a curve, plan to build $1.5 billion stadium at Tropicana site. The Oakland A's have shifted their Las Vegas stadium plans, entering an agreement to build a $1.5 billion, 30,000-seat ballpark where the Tropicana Las Vegas now sits. The plan would bring yet more dramatic transformation to the Strip. The Tropicana, a relic of the 1950s, would be demolished to make way for a partially retractable roof stadium on the site's 35 acres. So that is the big news. And then also, the A's are reducing the amount of public funding they want to $395 million. They were originally seeking $500 million. They've lowered that with the new location. So you can see, it's a shame. Why would they demolish Tropicana Field? I mean, this seems like a low blow, but no, it looks like they're demolishing possibly an old hotel that was from the 1950s. I mean, it's got a very dated design. That really doesn't surprise me that something like that would get demolished. It is funny that it is called Tropicana, right? It's poetic almost, but no, I think Tropicana Field is probably going to last for at least 3 or 4 more years, considering the Rays haven't even developed an official rendering on a new ballpark. But getting back to this, guys, this is the type of stuff that happens. I know a few days ago there were stories that, maybe they're not going to be able to move, maybe they won't find the land, there's a holdup. When you're talking about doing something this big, there's going to be problems, there's going to be financing issues, but it feels like the Athletics are all in on this move, and this move is happening. It would be shocking if this didn't happen and the Howard Terminal proposal went through. I just don't see that realistically, being an option at this point. So it seems like it's going to get done one way or another. They are moving locations, and they have reduced their public funding ask, by about $100 million. I know that's very unpopular when billionaires ask for tax money. It only makes sense. I mean, it's ridiculous, but it is what it is. They've reduced that to $395 million overall. And then it says in another article, the Nevada Independent report notes that the A's intend to begin construction on their new stadium sometime next year, so in 2024, which was the original timeline that we thought. That would put the stadium in line to be opened in 2027, although construction delays could push it to 2028. So this is the first I've heard about. Maybe they're just speculating there could be delays. In that case, I think they would spend 3 years at the Las Vegas AAA ballpark. If that happened, I don't see them staying at the Coliseum past the lease, which is in 2024, but that is the updated situation on the A's. The move seems to be in process. Again, you're going to deal with turbulence, you're going to deal with financing issues, but the overall point, this is all public now. It would be just shocking to see them not be able to secure this move and actually go to Las Vegas. And then, guys, yesterday we got the big first photo of the potential MLB expansion/relocation Orlando Dreamers. Later in the day, after I reacted to this, they released more photos, and we're going to take a look at them here. The first one I'm going to look at is the aerial view over top. So obviously, very, very unique design. Almost looks like a frying pan, like a curved frying pan, maybe a tennis racket, something like that. But you do have the stadium, and then you have the roof extending well beyond the center field and going all the way out. Looks like maybe 1/10 of a mile there. That is a pretty far expansion. This is kind of the new standard we've seen with the MLB stadiums, and this is a $1.7 billion proposal to where it's not just the stadium. They also want to build up the expanding area, and it looks like we also do have potential maybe hotels, maybe restaurants going up as well. You can see kind of those taller buildings right next to it. I would imagine that would all be new, and that would be part of the project. And then we do have, it looks like some little man-made ponds or whatever those are. You can kind of see those. So they're trying to bring some water aspect into it, kind of around the highway, or is that literally right next to a highway? I don't like that location, it being that close to a highway, but then again, most stadiums are. But yeah, I mean, you get that photo, so, it does look, it's interesting. I wouldn't say it's like this sexy new design, but it is an interesting design for sure. And then this is the other big photo. So this is located well beyond center field, almost looking in from kind of, I guess you would call this kind of like a district of the ballpark. You can see it looks like there's little walkways on each side. There's restaurants, there's dining, maybe there's shopping. It looks like this is a really, multi-level experience when you're talking about this site. It's not just baseball, and they said that yesterday, but it looks like it's all connected, which is very unique and very interesting. And also you do kind of have like a little green area out there, and then they've got the game being played on the big screen that is beyond center field. And then yes, it does look like those are fountains out in center field. That's what I speculated they were. And then we do also get a little look at the upper deck. And yeah, that's pretty much how the upper decks are now. It's the two-section approach. You don't want that wall of seating, so I do like that. I still am questioning. They said the capacity of this ballpark was 45,000. I wonder if they're talking about the capacity for the entire complex. I'm just not seeing how this ballpark, unless there's crazy standing room somewhere, I'm not really seeing how this ballpark sits 45,000. It looks like maybe 40,000, maybe 42,000. But for example, like the last MLB Stadium, Globe Life Field, I believe it sits like somewhere in the range of 43K, and there looks like way more seating in that stadium than there is in this one, but supposedly this one is 45K, and the big news on this one, I would say, is this rendering that came out yesterday. Very, very interesting design. Almost looks like maybe there's, some type of mall aspect to it, but you look at the aerial view, it's all connected. The roof is connected, and then it kind of jets out into the actual stadium. So it's an entire complex that they're trying to build up. That makes a lot more sense, costing $1.7 billion. The roof alone is probably about $400 million. Like, if they were to have an open ballpark without a roof, it would probably only cost like 1.1 or 1.2 for the entire complex. But if you add a roof to it, that's going to dramatically increase the price. And obviously, as I said yesterday, it's not surprising as I said yesterday, if you are going to plan a team in Orlando, you need a roof. It's just the unpredictable weather, it's the humidity. 100% I agree, and what they're doing is it's a fixed roof. It is not retractable, which I do think as well that is the right call, considering the problems the Miami Marlins have run into paying for that, nice retractable roof, and then it's only open like 5% of the year. I actually did a video on how often retractable roofs are open, and I think it was like 2% for the Marlins, and I know they tried opening it early in April, but, other than April, maybe also September, the thing is never going to get open. So that's why this was never going to be a retractable roof. I still maintain, and this is kind of something that other people have said on social media as well, I think the most likely scenario for Orlando possibly getting an MLB team, it has to be a relocation of the Rays. Like, like 3 teams in Florida just seems almost impossible. It doesn't seem like the MLB would do that. I think if the Orlando had planned this last year, this would have a lot more legs to it. There does seem to be, because of a report that came out in January, that the Rays had received like approval to look for a new site. There does seem to be momentum that the Rays will be able to remain at that site in St. Petersburg, which I don't think is really an improvement. I mean, one of the big problems that Rays fans say they have is the stadium location, and the next proposal is literally across the street of the current Tropicana Field site. So I'm not sure how that really solves that. But I'm not going to push the narrative that the Rays should move because I realize there's a lot of, excitement with that team. They're playing better. They are drawing a little bit better, but they are still in the bottom 10 in terms of attendance. But, either way, I still think if Orlando wants to get a team, by far their best bet is to get the Rays to relocate to Orlando, and they would use, the amount of people that they draw to the city based on tourism, the fact that they're one of the biggest, if not the biggest markets currently that does not have an MLB team. I think that was one of their key points when they were pitching it yesterday. It said they were the biggest market in America that doesn't have a Major League Baseball team. So, we'll have to see what ends up happening. The Rays are certainly, like things are coming to a head. The Rays are certainly going to have to move on this new stadium because if it doesn't happen, this is a very good pivot for the MLB. If they don't have the Rays relocating to Nashville, which is originally what I thought would happen, if the Rays were going to relocate, this would also be another option. You could relocate the Rays to Orlando. You could get a lot more foot traffic just in tourism. And then also you could then expand into Nashville and maybe into another city in Texas or maybe out west in Salt Lake City or Portland. So there's a lot at play. Right now, I would still lean towards the Rays staying in Tampa Bay, but the whole proposal just doesn't make sense. One of the biggest things that Rays fans were saying, obviously the stadium sucks, we know that, but they were also saying the location of it is terrible. If you have a 6:40 game on a weeknight, we can't get over the bridge. We can't watch the game. It's in a bad part of town, like in St. Petersburg. It's just too far away from most of the people. And now you're talking about building it right next to it. I don't know how that solves the problem, Certainly getting a new stadium is going to draw in more people, but I think it just depends. It comes down to the Tampa Bay Rays ownership. How aggressive are they in possibly moving? Could they look at the population in Orlando and the amount of people that come into that city as possibly kind of a good move that would overall evaluate the worth of the franchise? It's kind of like John Fisher looking at Oakland, sabotaging the team. They're already in a horrible stadium. He sees what happens when you relocate to a bigger city. This St. Louis Rams relocating to LA, yes, it does help that they won the Super Bowl, but there's no way the St. Louis Rams, even if they had won the Super Bowl, would be a top 3 team in terms of overall worth, which they are right now in the NFL. It would not happen in St. Louis. So there's a lot of things you got to look at. And I think some of these owners like John Fisher are realizing no matter what, even if we won 2 or 3 rings in Oakland, we're not going to be worth that much. It's a really, really evil thing to do, and that's why a lot of Oakland fans don't like John Fisher. I mean, theoretically, the owner of the Cleveland Guardians could say, we can move wherever we want and make more. It's like any owner can do that unless you're in a big city. It is an evil thing, but they're going to take that into account when it comes to moving and possibly raising the overall value of the team because it's in a better place that's going to get more of an attendance, that's going to build more of a brand. All of that has to be taken into account. So guys, we'll have to see what happens on this. The Vegas situation looks like they're switching sites and they're lowering their overall ask from the general public by about $100 million to try and get this project to go through. So we will see what happens, but that's going to do it for this video. Make sure you follow me on Twitter. Link to that's always in the description. I'm, of course, the Depressed Ginger. Thank you for watching.